guys, it's Kelly here, and I'm back with another video. This time I'm going to be using the watercolor paintables from Simon Says. So I don't have two of these, I just have one. What I did was I made a copy of it with my copy faxer printer so that I would be able to make a mask to do a background. You know me, I love one layer cards, and these little paintables are so much fun to color, and the images are already down, and it just gives you something that super easy to work with. I just really like building up my backgrounds. So here I'm using just it's a T-square, but you could use any ruler to extend those lines because I want to extend the rays on the image. So I'm using Tombow Mono multi-glue on the copy paper to create my masks. If you put it down wet, it is permanent. You have to wait for it to dry to be repositionable. But once you do that, it works really well to make your own masks. Before I cut these out, I'm going to go ahead and number the backs of them. And this is just to help me for the pieces that don't have any writing on it. Like these first pieces here, so that way I know how they're supposed to line up and I don't have to spend 20 minutes trying to figure out what they're doing. So after I cut them all up, then I went ahead and did the same thing with the Tombow Mono multi-glue to make them sticky. Don't mind my big head here. And then I'm going to start putting them down like a puzzle piece. The way that I like to put them back together is I put down the biggest piece. So I put down the sun, and then I'm matching up the rays, the biggest pieces first out to the smaller pieces so that everything matches up. And then once everything is down, I'm going to start removing them, because I want some of the rays to be white. Well, I thought I wanted them to be white. Later on, I went and added some color. But anyway, so I'm just removing every other one. And then after I had removed every other one, I decided that the sun was going to be yellow anyway, so there was no point in masking the whole thing. I'm messing around with this little one, and I ended up just saying forget about it later on. But anyway, so the sun was going to be yellow anyway. I didn't really need to mask the whole thing, so I pulled that off and then just cut out the heart so I could mask the heart portion of it. The lettering I'm not worried about because I have a little trick to kind of fix that later on that I will show you. So I'm going to put that heart back in place so that it's masked, and then I'm going to use the fossilized amber to color in my sun, and then also to bring that down into the rays that are not masked. I didn't go all the way down. I went probably about 3/4 of the way down through the words. Every time I looked at this particular paintable, this is how I saw it, with those rays extended. So there was no way I was going to be able to color it without doing it this way, without extending those rays. And this was, I guess, the best way I could think to do it. So once I'm happy with the way that the yellow looks, then I'm going to go in with the blue from the bottom, but I'm not going to take it all the way up to the yellow because, as you know, blue and yellow make green, and I don't want green in the middle of my card. So I'm taking it up fairly close, but I'm leaving kind of like a white border between the two of them, and that way I don't get green, and I'm still pretty happy with my rays. So now I'm going to remove the masks and then start into the Copic coloring. I really was happy with the way that the background came out. You know, you could alternate your rays. Oh, I lied. I'm not getting into the Copic. This is the trick. So these are printed on Tim Holtz Distress watercolor paper. Tim Holtz watercolor paper? Is it Distress? I don't know. Anyway, Tim Holtz watercolor paper. And because you're using Distress inks, they work with water. They will lift when you put clean water on them. So I am just going over the letters with a small paintbrush, clean clear water, and blotting up the water, which is also pulling up the pigment. So I don't have to worry about cross-contaminating my colors. It also, because it's watercolor paper, it didn't mess up the finish of my paper. Like the top coating didn't pill or anything. I didn't get weird blending with my Copics. Everything worked the same as it did. Just you make sure you wait until it's dry. You don't want to be trying to put Copics over wet paper because they'll bleed out into the rest of the pulp. So for all of the letters, I decided I wanted to do a gradient or an ombre. I don't remember which one's which. Christina Warren will yell at me if she watches this video because she told me once what the difference was, but I don't remember what it is. So anyway, basically, I'm just taking one color up so far, and then the next color up a little less, and then the next color a little less, so that they all blend. I also did the is in the saying. I colored that heart. I have to tell you, I colored that heart, and I didn't even realize that like 95% of the time I was off camera. So fortunately, the heart on the bottom I colored the same way, and that one I did get in the camera shot, so I'll show you that one there. But anyway, I'm doing the ombre the same way, putting down, filling it in with my lightest color entirely, and then I always work in fours. That's just how I feel like I get the best blend. If you find that your, because these letters, well, they're not necessarily dainty, it is a smaller area, and it's a lot of ink. If you find that it's bleeding, don't do it twice, just do it once. Start with your darkest color and then go out to your lightest, and you'll have less of an issue with that bleeding, especially for the reds. The reds are really hard to clean up. So for the heart, I just did my lightest color where I wanted it to be the darkest. And then I just kept applying the colors over the same areas for the first time around. And I wanted the outside to be darker. I thought that later on when I do the detailing, which is another one of the things that I love about these paintables, I can just sit and color and add my little happy little details and not really have to think too much about it. And that makes me happy. But as I come back through the second time from the darkest out to the lightest, I'm going to fill in more of that heart so the highlight is just in the center. Then I'm going to show you the blues that I used. I did them the same way I did everything else, so I'm not going to show you all of the coloring. You've seen it twice now. Once the blue was done, and to be honest, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have colored the is blue instead of yellow, but that's just not what happened. So I'm going in here and just adding a little bit of fun details, some stippling to the sun and then to the rays with the, I use the Y08 and the what was that? YR04, I think is what I used. And so now, if you watch my videos, you know that I love a shadow. I love when something is one layer and it appears to be more than one layer. So I feel like I should just cut this part out of my video. Like I show it every time because I'm scared like this will be the first time you're coming to my channel and you won't even know what the shadowing is all about. But I feel like if you watch all of my videos, then you've seen this like 600 times. That's a vast over exaggeration. I don't have 600 videos. Nonetheless, at least 50 times. You watch this at least 50 times, my shadowing. So start with the darkest, put my shadow in as if my light source was from the top right, and then blend out with the C3, blend out with the C1. Watch the C1 when you're doing the red areas because it will pick up that red and pull it into the rest of your card if you're not careful. I'm adding more stippling with my white gel pen to both the sun and the rays. And then I'm also going to use that white gel pen to put a highlight on those block letters, just to give them more 3D appearance as if the light was hitting those areas. So I did that for all of the letters, everything that is blocked up or built up. Did that for all of those. And then I'm going to use the white gel pen to add some detail to both the hearts. The top one I did in polka dots, and the bottom one I did in diagonal stripes. So those are like two of my go-to. I love a good polka dot, especially a red and white polka dot, because we all have our thing. And then added the diagonal stripes here. One of the things that I like to do if I'm adding white detailing is I like to take one of the medium colors and go and add that back into the shading. And this helps that white really become part of the image, but I will warn you, it can ruin your tips. I've heard somebody say it can ruin your tips. I don't know. I do it all the time and I haven't had any issues, but do it at your own risk. Those aren't my markers. I outline the whole image in using my EK Success journaling pen. And then here I'm just adding some Wink of Stella to all of the red areas and then also the rays. I just kind of like swiped it on so that it would be pretty glittery because glitter is pretty and it should be on all the things. And then that is basically the whole card. So kind of a shorter video for me today. Thank you so... Oh, I'm lying to you. Lying. I forgot I did this part. The white was like too white, so I went in with a really light yellow, which is Y0000, 4 zeros, and added that just to where like the white was so that it wasn't so stark. And now it's done. This is the whole card. I promise you there isn't anything left. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.